Hello, friends. This is Cris Duncan, the director of the Texas School of Professional Photography, and today I'm joined by one of our Saturday instructors, Lindsay Betz, and her class, Foundations of a Profitable and Sustainable Portrait Studio. And Lindsay joins us from Colorado Springs, Colorado. So thank you so much for joining us, Lindsay.
Thanks, Cris, for having me.
Yeah, so we're excited to have your class at Texas School in a Saturday class. And for those that don't know, the Saturday classes is a one-day class, Saturday, April 25th, 2026, from 10 to 5. And if they're already enrolled in Texas School, they can add you as a Saturday class. And if they don't think they can make the full week of Texas School, which is tragic and sad, they can still attend a Saturday class with you. So, we're good friends, Lindsay. I mean, just break that ice. We've known each other a long time. We work closely together. We're actually in a business mastermind group together with some few other studios. So I feel like we know each other really well. But some of our listeners may not know Lindsay Betz or the Jonathan Betz Photography in Colorado Springs. So give us a little bit of background into you and your business and what you bring.
Yeah, so basically, my husband, Jonathan, is the sole photographer and visionary for our business. And so I am not the one that's ever behind the camera. He got his start working full-time as a professional portrait and wedding photographer back in St. Louis in 2002. And then when we got married in 2004 and started dreaming about living out west and in the mountains and dry climate, along those same kind of lines, I got invited into possibly launching this portrait studio business with him, which really intrigued me to the point that I said yes. So we have been in Colorado Springs since 2006. Really excited that this is our 20th year in business. So that's super fun. And we are just really, we are so blessed to be fully supported by professional photography. Like what a dream world it is. And I just think, owning a business and running a business as a husband and wife, such a treat to do so well and to love that experience. But it's also a ton of hard work and effort. And I'm just beyond blessed that we get the opportunity to be able to do what we love, that I have found really great ways of how all of my skill sets really support John's artistry and the ability to do this well together and to just have the experience of having watched a dream that was in our heads more than 20 years ago be the reality that we get to live in today.
Yeah. You mentioned a few things in that introduction that kind of made my ears perk up, and I just kind of want you to unpack a little bit. So,
sure.
Of course, this is Texas School Off the Record, so this isn't scripted. So if I catch you off guard, I'm not apologizing for that. But I think what's great about what you said is that it was started as a dream. Y'all kind of started as a dream, and you're a husband and wife. I would assume, and I could be wrong, but a lot of people that come to Texas School or even in the photographic industry, they're either doing it on their own and they have no support system whatsoever, or it's probably a husband and wife team or a business partnership like that. And so this is your sole source of income. So kind of give us unpack a little bit how, that works. Because I think that's really relatable to the people that come to Texas School, because they're like, I don't want someone just to give me a list of things I could get off the internet. I want someone that's walked the walk, that can talk the talk, and that's lived the same struggles and made the same,
Yes, very, very much so. And I think one of the things that I love that will be a part of the content that we're going to cover in the class is a peeling back of the curtain, if you will. There is a reality of you can't circumvent time in the business. And so I am going to share the details of what was our beginning? Because I think what happens so often, especially if you are in that place where you're still in the growing years of your business, a lot of times you can risk looking around and seeing somebody else's middle or even the culmination of decades in the industry and compare yourself to that. And nobody starts where their middle or their end is. Everybody has a beginning story. And so I will peel back those curtains on how we got our start, how we went from being in an apartment that no client saw to a first home that had client spaces but not a camera room to where we get to thrive in today. A huge part of the message that we're going to be talking about in my class is money management, which I often think is one of the biggest mysteries and one of the things that overwhelms when it doesn't need to. photographers. And so when we're in that money management section, we are going to really talk about why debt-free principles matter and how that can be such a benefit to you. And that's how we chose to grow, is slowly and at the speed of cash. And to give our business in the early years time for it to get healthy before we started drawing on it. Yeah. And when you can do that, your foundation is just so much stronger. And you get to really apply what you're learning in the early years at the speed that you're learning it. If you grow too fast, which usually can only happen if you're maybe pulling out a ton of debt, you're like opening up a storefront location that you're not necessarily ready to support. Remember that the financial growth of your business matches a lot of your educational growth and the confidence that gets built in those early years. And so it's actually a benefit to realize that growing small and slow and steady grows you alongside your business. And those are mutually compatible growth models that you want to have in action. So yes, I mean, to be solely supported is certainly something that I think has served us well, by that always being the plan A. I think, it was like during the COVID years, and PPA was doing like a lot of these online interviews of like messages of like how different photography businesses were handling that whole very weird time.
Yes.
And we did one of those, and the message in what we shared was like no plan B. And so I think the other thing that I'm excited is I feel like the content of this class that I'm going to teach at Texas School, it's essentially going to go through 5 essential pillars of the foundation of your business success. And I think part of those pillars can help somebody feel ready to maybe take the training wheels off, or even while you leave the training wheels on, you're not using those training wheels as something that keeps you on the fence as to whether you're all in for this business. I think it makes a difference if you're all in. And so for us, we've really seen a benefit in getting us to where we are. Yes, from like a crazy amount of hard work. Yes, from passion. But it was a massive amount of just fire in the belly of like, this is what we are doing. There's not a plan B. We're not going into this like, if this doesn't work, I'll do this. It was, how do we put the right framework around our lives to make the right sacrifices and to do all the right actions that meant we were going to make this thing work? And that's the other thing that debt freedom did for us, is debt freedom removes all of the otherwise like risks and burdens on your business. And so it gives you this beautiful framework in which you can, again, just like slowly over time and on a very healthy foundation, make those steps forward. And you're kind of the only one now that can take your business. And if you're not going to spend more than you brought in, nobody's clamoring for a piece of the money that's coming in because you took debt out. You're hardworking, you're serving every single client well. That can never do anything but to build upon itself and slowly grow a really great client base.
Yeah. What a powerful message. I wish I would have taken your class 20 years ago when we started.
You and Deanna are doing just wonderfully.
But there was a lot in that message, Lindsay. So I was trying to write down some of the stuff. And I think the first thing is you talked about there's a middle and a start and an end, and I've mentioned this to other people I've talked to, and this was something I learned in the Goldman Sachs program, was don't compare your highlight reel to someone else's day to day. And so a lot of times all we see in this world of social media and instant gratification is just someone's highlight reel. We don't see the grind behind that. And so it's easy to get trapped up in like, oh, I'm not there yet, or I'm not enough, or I'm not effective enough, or I don't do this right. And so first of all, I want to let our students know that's why Texas School and PPA and these associations exist, is so you can create your own highlight reel. I mean, that's the goal, that you can create your own highlight reel. So I love that. Of course, the debt free came through many times, and that to some people that probably seems like so far in the future.
Sure. Yep.
And I congratulate you, and I know you and Jonathan have done so much debt free, and I think that's amazing. That really puts you probably in the top small percentage of not only photographers, I would just say business owners within, the United States.
Absolutely. Yes. It's very rare.
It's very rare. And the no plan B, how many of our students do you think have had parents or family or friends say, well, what's your backup plan?
Everybody. I mean, I can absolutely guarantee you that John and I were the only ones across all of our family and friends that actually knew we were going to do this.
Yes.
I guarantee you our families absolutely did not think we were capable of doing this.
Yeah. And when you said no plan B, I love watching like the History Channel or CNBC where they talk about business things, or like The Profit or Shark Tank or whatever these shows are. And it's always like all these people on there, they're like, well, I quit my job and I did this and I worked 23 hours a day. And, all these different things. You could tell those people that were in that level that they were either featuring were like, they didn't have a plan B. Like, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to put every effort and resource into making this.
And I think within that, though, is also a nugget that there is like reckless no plan B. Like, you just jump off the dock, but the ship is like so far from where you are, and now you're flailing in the ocean trying to get to it, versus a very calculated no plan B, where the ship is being brought closer to the dock. And when you leap, the boat is already there. And that's what this class is really geared to do too, is to give you all of those those foundational pillars of your business, so that it is a calculated way to like not make a leap that is without the net right there for you. You're leaping in a calculated direction. And so that's a huge part of what this class does, is to either take a photographer who's in the newer stages, who realizes that the right education can keep them from making a lot of failures or just mistakes. Like, you can actually, while you can't circumvent time, you can sure use the time all in the right direction versus a flailing sense of like chaos when you have the right education. But also, this one-day class is an excellent way if you've got a growing or even established business and you want to do your foundational checks and you want to have the right lens to kind of reevaluate your business and where it's going. Because the reality is, no business is just set in motion and then you walk away. Like, you're always refining. You need to always be seeking to offer something better, to bring your best. And so I also think, don't discount the Saturday class if you have an established business. This could be the exact time to step into a space that will cause you just to really analyze. And my goal is that there's going to be some working on within taking in all the information. Obviously, you guys are already realizing that I'm going to talk somewhat fast. I'm going to throw a ton of things at you. So like a sharp pencil or an excellent pen would be like the number one thing to bring, aside from just being awake, alert, and ready to buckle up, because we're going to cover a ton. But definitely, like, do not discount yourself at whatever level of business you're at, because we can't forget to do those checks, just like we do maintenance checks with our cars, or we get well checks for our health. Our business needs to have those times that we really examine and analyze. Like, am I going in the right direction? Is what's happening in my business what I intended to have happen? If it is, great. How do I know where to lean in and do more of the right thing? But if it's not, what questions should I be asking, or what should I really start leaning in and to figure out, why am I not getting those results? And my goal is always that I'm not going to teach any program or method. This is not, here's what we do, now here's what you go do the same thing. It's, these are the principles, these are the tools to put in your toolkit and how they function, so that now those tools can be uniquely applied to your specific business.
Right. Yeah, I think that's great. And even to your title, like foundations, I grew up in a construction family. My dad was an electrician. My brother was a home builder.
Skill sets.
Yes. I did some carpentry and lots of stuff in the construction trade. So when I see your foundations, that's what I think of, is you got to start there. And as you go, there's things are going to happen, and the floor plan might tweak and the finishes might tweak. But at the end of the day, you have a beautiful structure that you've built, but you can't get there without starting at that foundation.
Yeah,
and those
if you throw up walls, if you throw up the walls first, they might look pretty, but if they're not on a solid foundation,
right,
pretty falls over.
Yes, and that's right, and it's not. And I love the part that you said, I'm not going to tell you what Lindsay and Jonathan did. Obviously, there will be some stories of your success and your failures and your learning points that comes through any education process. But it's like you followed tried and trusted and tested methods that not only the photography industry has proven to be successful, but just the business community has proven to be successful. And so that's what I think is really exciting about this. So you've kind of already hit on some of this, and what makes your class unique. Obviously, we've hit on that. But if we could step back and think, if people were just walking by and you could pick out somebody that's like that, you're a perfect candidate for this class. If you were playing matchmaker with here's a photography business owner and here's the foundations of a profitable studio portrait class at Texas School, what's a great matchmaker going to pair together for that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the first that comes to mind is if you're in that first year of business, still kind of dreaming stage, or you ended up in business because people kept hearing that you kind of did this thing. Maybe they kind of saw some stuff you did for your own family, and you kind of all of a sudden decided to hang your proverbial shingle and be like, okay, I'm going to do this as a business, but you actually don't honestly know what you're doing. That is probably one side of absolutely perfect person to take this class, because this information can fast track the decisions you make to be targeted in a way that absolutely would be so beneficial in your beginnings. I think the other one is the business that is doing okay, has maybe 1 to 5 years under their belt, but there's that nagging sense that there's no way that I'm actually either living up to the potential within my business,
that's good.
or I'm ready to not just let this kind of be what it is, but to actually take control and to be intentional with where I'm taking this business.
Yeah, that's good.
Those would kind of be, I think, two of the most ideal people. But again, literally, I think you could be anybody, and
Yes.
I think it's going to be an amazing class.
Yeah. Well, I know it's going to be an amazing class. I know you've taught similar classes at Imaging USA, which is our national conference, for many years, and you've taught at other groups across the country. But I think, and maybe I'm wrong, you can tell me if I'm wrong because you've seen this in your classroom, but I know I'm an example. That's why this brings up is I just want to make sure my quality, that I'm offering a good product. And so my instinct was learn the craft. And then I'll learn the business. And really after being in this, almost 25 years, and thank the good Lord above, we're still profitable and we're still growing and doing well, and we're blessed. But man, if we could all reverse, hindsight's 2020, if we could all reverse the clock, how many people would say, I wish I learned this first, and then that could help me grow in my craft? Because it almost gives you the freedom. If your financial situation is in order, does it give you the freedom to now I can spend this extra time and resources on my craft?
And I think the hardest thing, and this is going to get said out loud again in the class, but I think one of the hardest things to hear when you are an artist, and probably since I'm not behind the camera, I can say things maybe a little bit differently than if I was also behind the camera. But the problem is the clients that are out there searching for a photographer, they may be able to discern bad from good, but they can't discern good from great. And so while we as artists need to have that drive that we are constantly offering the absolute best artistry, if we don't have our business sense intact and we don't know how to cause our images to be highly saleable in the eyes of the clients, it won't matter how artistically awesome we are. We won't be able to actually make a living doing this craft. Because the clients, again, they need your business sense and they need your expertise of the now what, here's an image I like, but what could it be? Those are the places that our expertise thrives and takes our clients to a place that is not only better for them, but that also is how we get to a bottom line that allows us to have photography the sole source of income. That has to be in place.
Wow. I've known you a long time, Lindsay, and we've had lots of conversations and even deep conversations about business and the craft, and even beyond what we do for a living. And I think you're the first person I've ever heard say that just what you just said, that their clients need something beyond. They need you to take them beyond, that they need you to have a business sense, Yeah. And so I think that's so powerful, and that's why I'm so excited that you agreed to come to teach a Saturday class at Texas School. And just because I think what you and I both have in common is We want the industry to thrive. We want photography. We know photography is valuable. We know that it's important. And in the world of AI and do-it-yourself digital stuff and selfies that turn you into headshots and all this stuff, right? That there's still a place for this. And our ultimate goal is to make sure that the people that offer this services can have a sustainable business and a quality product that can move their family, their business, and their community into the future.
Yeah. And I want people to hear that like our current industry standards are sad and pathetic in so many ways, but it doesn't have to be that. Like when I say that we are solely supported by photography, we are living our dream life. We are traveling around the world. We have paid off houses with our photography income. We are going to put our daughter through college using photography income. So I want people in my class too to dream a lot bigger than what our industry kind of has as some norms. I want you to bust those out of the water. And I want you to like know how you find a place of thriving within this particular industry.
What a perfect segue to my final question. I've asked this to every instructor that's come to Texas School. And man, what a great build up to this. So they take your class on this Saturday. Maybe they can stay the full week. That would be great. If they can't, at some point they find themselves back in their office or their home in front of and they're doing the work and life sets in. So what's going to happen is what can someone that took your class from just 10 to 5 on a Saturday, right? Which seems like in the grand scheme of things, this is a short period of time to sacrifice. What can one person that took your class, how's their life different, or what can they do after that they couldn't do before they walked into that room?
Yeah. So my class participants will have a packet that we are going to literally be filling out before they leave. And so I think just knowing that you're going to leave not only with a solid day of great educational nuggets, but an action plan that you tailored to your own business. Wherever you find your business, when you walk into that door, you're going to walk out with a packet that will be something to come back to. Because the reality is so much of the time we consume so much education, but if you haven't, before you leave that magical environment of like being at a convention or being at Texas School, like you're in this magical place. If you leave that place and you haven't defined actionable steps of how you want to apply that to your business, you could have nothing change and come back a year later and only be reminded of all the things that you never did. And so what I will have is every class participant is going to leave with time that we took during those class segments to literally not let those nuggets just fall to the wayside. You're going to have it on paper. So again, a really sharp pencil or some really great pens and possibly highlighters would be strongly recommended. And I'm a big pencil to paper, like literally write it down. Don't be on your phone typing. This doesn't do anything.
I can speak to that. Side note, Lindsay still uses a paper calendar.
I do. I've seen it. I'm telling you, you guys, but the old school stuff, like again, there's shiny, fun little objects of like technology everywhere, but like business comes down to some really simple basics. It doesn't have to look like shiny objects to do an amazing job. And yes, I'm very old school. So you will be old school if you take my class, but it will be to your benefit.
And you and Jonathan have proven that these methods work and they're sustainable. And so again, if any of this intrigues you, it intrigues me. I wish I could have taken Lindsay's class 25 years ago when we started our business, because I can tell you, we started off on the wrong foot and had to have someone like Lindsay help guide us back to the right path. So wherever you are in your photography business, just starting out and you want to make sure you start out on the right track, or you need a little course correction, or you just need a checkup along the way, Lindsay Betz's Foundations of a Profitable and Sustainable Portrait Studio is right for you. April 25th, 2026, there in Addison, Texas at Texas School, the Texas School Saturday class. So thank you so much, Lindsay, for joining us, and we can't wait to see you in April at Texas School.
I'm excited.